Assalamualaikum and selamat petang to all. Yang berbahagia, Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeo, our moderator, Ms. Christina Fu, members of the panel, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Bank Pembangunan Malaysia Berhad, allow me to express our utmost thanks to Kingsley Strategic Institute and the Government of Sarawak for inviting us to participate in the 2019 Sarawak Investment and Business Summit. We are indeed honoured to be part of this event. Bank Pembangunan was established in 1973 with a designated developmental role to support Malaysia's national agenda. The bank started its journey by assisting small and medium industries through the provision of various financing facilities, training and advisory services. Over the years, Bank Pembangunan or BPMB evolved into a development financial institution serving four mandated sectors, namely infrastructure, maritime, oil and gas and technology. Today, the bank is evolving further beyond the initial sector of expertise into other strategic areas including disruptive technology, which can be summed up as a groundbreaking product that creates a new industry. So it is rather apt that I am given the opportunity to speak during this session, which will discuss digital economy. Ladies and gentlemen, Bank Pembangunan launched 5 funds this year, with most recent Maritime Fund 2.0 launched on 17 September in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. The other 4 funds are Industry Digitalization Transformation Fund, Sustainability Development Financing Fund, Public Transport Fund, and the Tourism Infrastructure Fund, which was launched here in Kuching 3 months ago. Digital economy is set to be the new driver of development growth, and in order for Malaysia to progress further in its development path, it is important for the country businesses adopt new digital technologies. Improvements have been made to the country digital infrastructure, including the availability of higher internet speed, which is enabling the rapid expansion of digital economy. This transformation to Industry 4.0 is evolving at a faster pace than we expect, and with greater impact than past industry revolutions. Therefore, Malaysia is compelled to embrace this in order to stay competitive. This is where we at Bank Pembangunan have positioned ourselves with our 3 billion Industry Digitalization Transformation Fund. During the tabling of the 2019 budget, Bank Pembangunan was mandated by the Ministry of Finance to manage the 3 billion fund to support the government goal of improving productivity and advancing the country manufacturing sector by accelerating the adoption of Industry 4.0 related technologies. The fund is aimed at accelerating industry adoption of Industry 4.0 related technologies, hence increasing the contribution of the manufacturing sector of the economy. The fund will also support the transformation of Malaysia's industry capabilities by supporting the right ecosystem for Industry 4.0. Through the fund, Bank Pembangunan will also support the adoption of digital transformation across strategic sectors to develop and drive the enhancement of the digital economy for the nation. The Industry Digitalization Transformation Fund, known as IDTF, can be used to part finance the acquisition of development of specific assets, including software, licenses, and patents. It could also part finance projects within the digital technology space. With the IDTF, Bank Pembangunan is ready to provide financing with a profit rate subsidy of 2%. This is actually paid by the federal government, which is MOF. The government subsidy is targeted at companies that wish to upgrade their product technologies. Application, however, will be processed according to the bank's existing credit underwriting standards and guidelines. Some of the targeted technologies include the likes of artificial intelligence, robotics, and automation. The fund is also targeted towards technology firms or manufacturing companies offering the technologies or entities adopting the technologies as part of enhancing their operations. Bank Pembangunan may also finance companies which construct infrastructure for the adoption of technology. Having said all that, the information on our available funds is readily available on our website. Our business banking team is also present here today to provide further information on this fund, and please do connect with them to manage your business requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, Bank Pembangunan will play its role to help Malaysia achieve a developed and high-income nation status whilst continuing with our mandate to be a catalyst of national development and address market inefficiencies by serving the underserved and unserved sectors and businesses. Typically, we play the role of patient capital, with a focus of ensuring the success of the project rather than making quick returns. While our main objective is to nurture our client, Bank Pembangunan strives to fulfill this by balancing our developmental role against the commercial expectation of our shareholder, which is MOF. Under this initiative, we also hope to propel the nation towards becoming a key player in the fourth industrial revolution and the adoption of digital technologies across key sectors. Over the years, Bank Pembangunan has continued to play a major developmental role where we have participated in financing key infrastructure projects such as bridges, highways, toll roads, hospitals, universities, ports, airports, fishery complexes, and many other projects of significance to the national economy. Bank Pembangunan is also committed to participate and offer its services to projects in Sarawak. To date, we have provided funding for infrastructure projects in Sarawak close to 800 million. We are hopeful that the presence of Bank Pembangunan will become significant in Sarawak with heightened awareness on our available funds. Before I end, I would like to take the opportunity once again to thank KSI and the Government of Sarawak for organizing and inviting Bank Pembangunan to participate in the 2019 Sarawak Investment and Business Summit. It has indeed been our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Razali Hassan, for the support shown by you and Bank Pembangunan Malaysia. Now we will resume the rest of this session, and I will now hand over the floor to Ms. Christina Fu, Managing Director of Priority 1 Consultancy Sindiran Berhad. Over to you, Ms. Christina.
Thank you, Mr. MC. And a very good afternoon, everybody. I know it's that time of the afternoon where, you're starting to feel the effects of a lunch that was very generous. But I hope that you all will give us your utmost attention, because I've got 3 very interesting panelists here on stage, and we would like to share with you what we know about opportunities in this digital economy stage, and what's possibly exciting and in store for Sarawak. So just to start off, can I get them to play my slides? Just as by way of introduction, first thing first, I just want to talk about Industry 4.0. But the 3 panelists that I have up here today, Ms. Yong Lina on my right? She's from Sarawak CSO-SDG Pro-Tem committee, and she is also a councillor at Kuching City South For our foreign visitors, Kuching City has got one city council and one city commission for Kuching North and Kuching South. So she's a council on Kuching City South. And she's going to be talking about UN-SDGs, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, in particular in relation to Fourth Industrial Revolution. There'll be three goals that she'll be focused on. Today, she'll be talking about goal number 8, which is on a decent work and economic growth. And then also growth number 4 on quality education, as well as reduce inequalities, which is goal number 10. And then on my left, I have Mr. Pu Chin Loong. He is a technology guy. He's been in technology for the past 20 years or so. And he has been also an active player in the real estate space, and is a MS-certified, Microsoft-certified master, a registered property manager as well. He's gone through multi-super corridor, and then he's gone through IR3 like a lot of us, and are now embarking on IR 4.0. And he also has started a number of companies, and is just recently started another one last year. So he's going to share his experience from an entrepreneurial space as well. Then on my extreme left is my good friend, Girish Ramachandran, who is my former colleague at Ernst & Young. So he is the MD for 27th Group, a very interesting group, and I hope he will be sharing some of the activities that they've been working on. And for some of you who are familiar with them, they have been around and doing a lot of work in Sarawak as well, right? So another serial entrepreneur. And has this passion about rebuilding humanity. So it's got lots to share as well. So these are the 3 members of panel I've got here. Now, just to set the scene, so to speak, I'm also a director on MTDC, Malaysia Technology Development Corporation. And in the world today, a lot of us, when we talk about Industry 4.0, Hello. Oh, okay. Back on. When we talk about Industry 4.0, some people also talk about Industrial Revolution 4. There's a little bit of confusion. The Fourth Industrial Revolution is the big picture of what things is all about. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. Can I have the next slide? Thank you. I don't have the clicker. Okay, so there you go. So industrial revolutions, you've heard about this. It's gone through the centuries. The first, when labor work started becoming a little bit more mechanized. And then in the 1800s, you have, of course, Industrial Revolution 2, which was about mass production, assembly lines, and all that. And what happened, too, is that when that came into being, there was a lot of unemployment because suddenly machines were taking over the jobs for people. Then you have industry, the third industrial revolution, which is Industry 3.0, and that was about automation, computers, electronics. So we've all lived through that era now, and this age we are now in Industry 4.0 or the fourth industrial revolution, right? And that's when you talk about cyber-physical systems, you talk about Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, and then networks from cloud computing to cognitive computing and all. So that is the situation. So when we talk, I think in this session, what we'll talk about is Fourth Industrial Revolution, broadly, and then we may also dip into Industry 4.0 to be specifically talking about the concept of smart factories, right? Where machines are augmented with wireless connectivity and sensors. So that's where we're going to go. Oh, clicker. Oh, sorry. Can you please? Thank you. So when we talk about Industry 4.0, there are 9 pillars that we talked about. And I mentioned about the 4 areas of cyber physical systems, the IoTs, the AI, the computer, the cloud computer. So it's broadly there, right? So at MTDC, we have 5 incubators in the public universities and 1 in FRIM, which is the Forest Research Institute. Now, in one of the incubators at UPM, we have actually a center of 9 pillars, and I welcome you all to go visit that center of 9 pillars. If you are really interested in robotics and how, the 9 pillars as outlined in Industry 4.0 can possibly help your business or your manufacturing facilities. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about that and also get you into our ecosystem and then help you also where we can with financing and funding. Because Malaysia Technology Development Corporation is actually an integrated VC, an integrated venture capitalist fund, and we manage 6 funds for various government agencies. So that's basically what we have. Now, with regards to Sarawak, can I have the next slide? Thank you. Sorry, Lena, you have to do this for me. So, Industry Forward is the national policy on Industry 4.0, which is developed by the Malaysian government for the nation. So you're talking about, a national vision of being a strategic partner for smart manufacturing and related services in Asia Pacific. You're talking about being positioning Malaysia as a primary destination for high-tech industry and also being a total solution provider for advanced technology. And all this, has come about with these enablers from a regulatory framework to upskilling human resource to access to smart technologies and standards to making sure that we got the infrastructure for it. And very importantly, like I said, the funding that for those in projects that you may have. With regards to Sarawak, sorry. So that's the last slide, the one before. So with regards to Sarawak, we noted, of course, that there is a Sarawak digital economy strategy, 2018 to 2022, which has these objectives: accelerate economic growth, reduce socio-economic divide, increase employment of youth. And this is something I want our panelists to sort of bear in mind when we are discussing about what possible projects should we have for Sarawak. Okay, so the Sarawak government has this in place, right? So what are the opportunities? Lena, I'd like you to give us a presentation now and tell us about some of the things you're doing, and then from there we'll see how it can link up to what you can offer for Sarawak. Thank you. Please welcome Ms. Yong Lena. Thank you. Oh, guys, you got to give it a bit of a more vigorous approach. Thank you for your response.
Thanks to our moderator, Ms. Christina Fu. And thank you for making them clap. This step is actually very useful, so I have to thank Tan Sri Dato' Amma for this. Okay, so my name is Yong Lena. I actually did a title screen for you all just because the organization that I represent is, we have a very long name and people have a hard time figuring out what we actually do. So as you can see, I'm the former co-chair, so I actually officially handed over my chair to our new co-chair who is here today, and hopefully she'll be presenting next year. Okay, so our organization is called the Sarawak CSO-SDG Alliance. We are a coalition of NGOs in Sarawak that focus on SDG implementation across the board, at the federal government level, at the state government level, also in businesses, private sector, public sector. So that is what we do here. a network of NGOs. So all of you here who maybe belong to an organization, an NGO, you may be interested to join us and see what we can do to push the agenda of SDG and make sure it's implemented across the board in our state here. Okay, so as most of you here would already know, the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 of them in total. So they were actually introduced in 2015 to replace the Millennium Development Goals. And there are 169 targets in total, with 1 to 3 indicators each. So that is a whole lot of targets and a lot of indicators to keep track of. But I'm also glad to see that a lot of our agencies, our government agencies at the federal level and also at the state level have incorporated SDGs into their roadmap, as you can see here. This is the National Industry 4.0 policy framework developed by the Ministry of International Trade and Industry. You can see they actually highlighted 2 SDG goals as part of their roadmap. So goal number 9 and also goal number 12. Okay. And you can also see Department of Statistics, they also incorporate SDGs into their roadmap, which looks at how they can actually improve efficiency in collecting data and through that improve efficiency across the board. So that's SDGs for you. But for me, for most people who know me, they would know that I'm not the most tech-savvy person. So actually, I almost am the opposite, almost afraid of technology. It's quite amazing to think that only 7 years ago, that's when the phone, the touchscreen phone became popular. If you think about that, it's an incredibly short amount of time to see how technology has increased in that time frame. But for me, I believe I represent a lot of the average person who do not see, who maybe is a little bit short-sighted when it comes to technology. For us, it feels like, technology suddenly crept up on us, or suddenly we are in the age of advancement or advanced technology. And I think the average person on the ground feels that, especially in the rural areas. So when I think about Industry 4.0, especially from the SDG perspective, there is a lot of fear when it comes to talking about jobs. When you talk about automation, about jobs being replaced by machines, there's a lot of fear when it comes to talking about that, especially when you're talking to the average person on the ground, not as a business owner and not as a government agency, but as a person who is working in factories or as a person who is a clerk, doing data entry. I think there is a lot of fear there about what their future holds. How are they going to have a job 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road? So that's why I thought I chose to focus on goal number 8, which is talking about decent work and economic growth. How are we going to deal with it? You can see in many industrialized countries like the US and Europe, there's already a lot of conversation about that. What happens to the factory worker, or what happens to the general worker who are doing low-skilled jobs or medium-skilled jobs. And from there, the conversation then will talk about education. How do you upskill your workforce so that when Industry 4.0 does roll out and come out in full force, what are your people going to do? How are they going to sustain themselves? And that's where there's a lot of conversation about TVET in our country now as well, that talks about giving our people the skills to eventually participate in Industry 4.0. But from there also, there's a concern of mine about inequality. So that's goal number 10, reduce inequalities. Because when we think about the rural-urban divide, as it is now, it's already very apparent. So imagine in the age of industry or industrialization, you have the rural people who have limited access to technology as it is now. Yes, we are building telecommunication towers, we are giving them access to Facebook, to WhatsApp. But are they ready for when it comes to jobs, when it comes to work? So whereas in the urban area, you have children who are being exposed to IT classes, AI classes really early when they're young. But do you have the same for the people in the rural areas? So then that's one of the concerns as well about the rural-urban divide. Is it going to exacerbate it, or is it going to reduce the inequality? So those are the three concerns that I have in terms of SDG when it comes to Industry 4.0. A bit, sorry for being very bleak about this. I'm sure my other panelists will have a more positive outlook. But so far, that is the conversation that we hear when it comes to Industry 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. It's just concern about what people are going to do now, 5 or 10 years down the road. I'm not sure if you've all heard of this great documentary. It's called American Factory. Yes? Yeah. So it's a really good case in point. So I'll just give you a brief summary of what American Factory is about. Basically, so most of you will know Detroit in the US. The majority of the residents there were general factory workers. And when automation came about, and when the factories closed down, a lot of the people lost their jobs, and the city essentially became a dead town. So what happened was the US began to poach factories or business owners in China to open up factories in the US. And so this documentary followed the story of one major manufacturer, solar manufacturer actually, to open up a factory in the US where they train the former general workers in the US to perform like how they would in China. But you would see that the culture was so different, and people ultimately are not robots. And they could not perform as well as a machine could. And eventually, those workers who were so hopeful, so optimistic, and welcomed China with open arms, eventually they were replaced by machines as well. So that is what we have to look at, especially for our people here. We have to be realistic. What capacity we have right now? How are we going to grow it? What can we do right now? If you look at Singapore, that's our closest neighbor. Singapore actually has the second highest robotic density in the world. Number one would be South Korea. We have 631 robotic arms for every 10,000 workers. Singapore has 488 robotic arms for every 10,000 workers. But Singapore, when you look at their TVET program, it's the equivalent of academic qualification. And they start them early. In secondary school, they can choose to go into vocational learning. And now the conversation in Singapore is whether to introduce vocational learning as an option in the higher primary learning level. So in terms of what Singapore has prepared for Industry 4.0, in comparison to us where we are just starting to look at TVET now and really looking at how we can upskill our workers, we have a long way to catch up. Malaysia, in terms of robotic density, we have 34 robotic arms for every 10,000 workers. So we're still very much low down the rank. We are only 5% of what South Korea is producing. I have a few statistics to show you here. So because my time is running out, we'll just quickly go through them. Okay, so it's a little bit small, but this is actually statistics from the 11 Malaysia Roadmap for Industry 4.0. So it shows here that in the manufacturing industry, small, medium enterprises, SMEs, we actually employ 42.1% of employers, and out of that, 74% of them are Malaysians. So SMEs, you play a big role in the manufacturing industry and also in giving jobs to our people. The biggest sector of employment in our country are in services and sales. Second would be in manufacturing. The skills sector for our biggest employment is semi-skilled with 62.3%. And every year in terms of job creation, our semi-skilled sector is still the biggest in terms of 48.5% job creation every year. This is in comparison to our skilled workforce, where in terms of job creation is 44.7%. But in terms of our total number of workforce, in terms of skilled workforce, we have 4.17 million. In quarter 2 of this year, it actually went down. It dropped to 4.13 million. Our semi-skilled workforce, 8.85 million in quarter 1. It actually went up to 9.02 million in Q2. But now with TVET, we're actually looking at getting 60% of our workforce up to the skilled workforce level. So it is a big task for us. But if the demand is still looking for semi-skilled, then what are we going to do to close the gap in the meantime? Okay. All right, so just to bring the conversation back to Sarawak, in terms of manufacturing industry, Sarawak is actually the seventh, we have the seventh largest number of manufacturers across the country. First would be Selangor, followed by JB, KL, Perak, Penang, Kedah, and then it's Sarawak. So if you look at the previous presentations, we talked about SCORE, we talk about bringing in a lot of industries, manufacturers to our state, but we also have to look at what is that going to mean for our workforce? Do we have the right people for it? And personally, this is my own opinion. If you look at Nordic countries, they're talking about universal basic income. They believe that we are going back to the age of philosophers. So for me, we're talking about STEM, but if you look beyond Industry 4.0, I believe once we are industrialized, we are going back to the age of thinkers. So then arts become an even more important sector for our children to go into, because critical thinking, creative thinking, philosophy, that can't be replaced by machines. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Yong, Lina. And yeah.
Okay. So this is all about digitalization, right?
It is.
And we can't get something like this right. So this is interesting. I'm a firm believer that I think we have to relook at this entire thing again. Yeah? Let me say that again. We think we know where we're going, we know what to do. The more I talk to people at conferences and sessions, we do not know what we're going to do, and we do not know where we want to go. Okay, so let me try and redo that a little bit. We're from 27 Advisory and Projects. We do quite a bit of work in the last 25 years in Malaysia on transformation. And more recently, we've done a couple of things for the government of Malaysia and industry. The context of what we're looking at is essentially the economy. Yeah, this is the digital economy, which MDEC has valued at $3 trillion US, and it has two things that you need to know. One is internet connection. Second is fast internet connection on time. All right? Now that is where we haven't got anywhere, if you ask me, on those two things. Yeah? If I try to log on to the Wi-Fi here in this hotel, I probably get a speed of 1.7, my guess, if I'm lucky. If you go into any country outside of Malaysia and try this, chances are it's much faster. Yeah? So I'm not just looking at Sarawak. I'm talking about Malaysia. Now, how do we do this? This is essentially the model where we have to look at 4 levels. Now, the level which you see is the user interface. Yeah? You guys use Grab? How many of you came here on a Grab? Yeah? 1, 2, okay. So that's the first triangle at the top. The user interface, where you're communicating with this through an interface. And this predominantly is to be done by what we call private sector. Yeah? The red bar is the involvement of the government. Okay? The second level is what we call an integrated city management or an operations center, where you start to use data and you start to analyze it. And this is where government needs to play a much heavier role, which they don't. But they're getting into it. What Christina is doing, what MDEC is doing, what every other agency is doing is around this. And I think in the last 3 years, we've moved the needle a little bit. Now, the third level is where we capture information through sensors and digital devices. Now, this is not the role of government, but government needs to come in infrastructure, which is the last bar. The last bar is about infrastructure backbone, which has to take place. So before we can even think about any of this, We need that infrastructure 10 years ago. And this is the problem. Okay? The problem is we look at this not in the same breath as water and electricity. Yeah? If you go to a place and you do not have electricity, you're going to be stuck, right? If you go to a place and you do not have water, you're going to be stuck. Now, this is how we should look at it. Now, thank God, in the last 12 months, the federal government has put in cabinet papers to make it mandatory that the word internet connection is on the same breath as water and electricity. Yeah? Forget about the cost. Let's just look at provision first. Yeah? And the amount we spend on infra, if you looked at the earlier presentations, we're spending billions of dollars on roads, on electricity, on utilities. We don't spend a fraction of it on infrastructure in this. And this is what we need to make all of the other stuff happen. Because if you don't have the thing at the bottom, forget about the stuff on top. So I'll share a little bit with you on... Sorry, can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So we did a little bit of work for what we call the Smart City Framework for Malaysia. This was under KPKT and DBKL. And we asked the Malaysians, what do you think of your city? Of course, for 50% of them were not happy with their city. So, Lena, this is exactly what we're trying to deal with. If you're not happy in your city, let's try and solve that problem first. Second question, traffic congestion. Yes, everybody complains about it. Environmental surrounding was not too bad, 40%, and speed of internet, 60% said very, very unhappy. 22% of them were neutral. So let's try and solve this problem first. Yeah, I'm not saying we lose sight of this 4.0 and IR 4.0, but let's take step by step on this. So we went further into a focus group with 263 people. And this was representative of all Malaysians, not just government. And we asked them what are the issues out there. And this is an urban context in terms of cities. Why cities? Because 85% of people are going to be living in cities in the next 10 years. And that's 7.3 billion people times 85%. These are the issues in Malaysia right now. So my thinking is, rather than trying to look at it from government or businesses, the solution is entrepreneurs. Yeah? So I want all of you all out there to resign from your jobs. I'm serious. Please resign from your jobs and start up a business. Start up a joint venture. Because that's the only way we're going to solve it, and we're perfect. We're perfect in Malaysia to do this. Yeah? Go and solve one of these problems. Because that's how it starts. The entire Industry 4.0 or IR4 or the Fourth Industrial Revolution is about solving problems. If we're not solving a problem, why would somebody like Press Metal here, who's just invested 1.2 billion ringgit, why would they spend another 100 million ringgit if they don't have a problem? Yeah? So find an issue or a solution that needs to happen in your own organization and go out and do it. Don't wait for the government. Don't wait for funding. If you have a good idea and a good solution, a good joint venture that's investable, the money will come. Yeah? Now, in Malaysia, the biggest problem here is housing prices. Yeah? So two things can happen. Increase your income or go stay somewhere far away. Yeah? Which one do you prefer? You want to stay in the city, right? So it's about income generation. Okay, a bit about technology. We think technology out there is easy to adapt and put into our systems and make it work. It is not. Some technology are not commercially available, some are not ready, and a lot of it are in testing phase. Now, in the city, these are city-related technologies. You can see there isn't anything here that has got a full red bar where things have crossed 70%. Yeah? So I think we are on the right path, but we need to take it in strides and understand where we are. get the infrastructure ready first. Second, start looking at how we communicate within ourselves. Because the moment I asked all of you all to resign from your jobs and become entrepreneurs, you're not going to do it. Because you're not risk takers, number one. And that's the key to all of it. We need guys like this. We need guys like this in Malaysia to deal with what we're trying to present here today. So, 4IR technologies, I think you saw some of this in the earlier slides. They are complicated words, but look at them solving a problem. I think then you will get it very, very clear. Yeah? Every day you have a problem. Either you're going to work, or you're coming back, or you're in your home, in your family, they're anything. And I tested this. I tested this with my 10-year-old son 2 days ago. I told him, what can we do in the kitchen better? What is the problem? And he said, how about we take a camera in the fridge of what's happening in the fridge, and the fridge communicates with the Grab, that communicates with the food delivery, that brings you whatever you need as it replenishes, which is already happening, I'm sure. But this is a 10-year-old kid who can figure that out. And that's what we need. Yeah? Have the solution, which is solving a problem. And these are all the different things that happens that will make it, take it to the next level. So there's a lot of examples we have. I don't want to waste your time, but there's a lot of stuff happening in big data and healthcare right now. And a lot of this are things around sharing economy. Yeah? So you can have people in Ireland doing robotic surgery of somebody in India and those kind of things. Yeah? You also have quite a bit of things happening in the banking and finance industry. Yeah? We all have seen what Malaysia has gone through in the last 7 years with 1MDB. The whole governance aspect of KYC, AML in a finance is now being looked at in artificial intelligence, which means something a human being used to take 3 months to do, this thing can do it in 10 seconds. Yeah, and technology is out there. This is actually owned by a Malaysian company based out of London. And there are other things around construction that actually goes into solving other things, for example, like affordable homes. Yeah, how do you build homes faster, quicker, better, cheaper in a short period of time? So, 3 things we've done, and we can talk about any of this. We've just started an engagement with the Ministry of Economic Affairs to look at IR, the Fourth Industrial Revolution framework for the whole of Malaysia, non-manufacturing. Because manufacturing is less than 40% of the economy. So how does this work for tourism? How does it work for finance, services, and so on? We also looked a lot into the smart city framework. And last but not least, I think a lot of the stuff we're doing with education and training needs tracing. We need to measure it, whether we're effective. Yeah, we're spending a lot of money on training. We're spending a lot of time on education, but we're not measuring the impact of it. And I think that is the key. The moment we start doing that, then a lot of this makes sense. With that, I will pass the mic back to Christina. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Girish. Very interesting, isn't it? Next, we've got Chin Loong. You got all your slides ready? Yes? Okay. In the interest of time, I think, you have to try and make sure you get your slides and presentation in about...
I'll make it fast. Right?
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay, that's my slide. Don't you think so? It looks nice. It's a kuching, by the way. Okay, so my name is, again, Ching Loong. Address me as CL, Real Estate Technology Guy. This is how I address myself. This is part of marketing, right? So just want to share, so as an entrepreneur, this is what normally we actually do. Okay? So let's actually go to the next. Try. Oh, there you go. What is this, basically? This is the start of the steam engine back then. So at that time when this starts, a lot of people say that should I go for it? A lot of people against it, like what Christina had mentioned. That's why there's a red flag law. Locomotive 1865 law is being published at that time. So why we actually mention this? This is important. We are the beginning of IR4. There's a lot of things that we're actually seeing on that shall we continue, shall we actually go for this? That's why we have a topic here, Leapfrog. You know what happened after this steam engine? We have Ford today. We have BMW today. We have Benz today. Okay? What is this? Light bulbs. Thomas Edison. Rounds and rounds of testing, presentation. Together with Nikola Tesla. That's why there's AC. That's why we actually have a lot of discussion here about power plant. If they don't start, we don't have things today. That's why we have General Electric, GE. We have Philips. So all these big companies, why I actually address this? It's important later on, which we are going to share. Next is going to be, what is this? This is personal computer. Right, this personal computer. When I show these three slides, what is that representing? IR1, 2, and 3. What this has produced? Microsoft, Google, HP, Dell. What we're actually trying to tell you here is, in IR 4.0, that's the button that you hit refresh. You no need to be a big organization to do big stuff. You just need to believe, and you just need to do it. Let's bring into the topics that I'm actually coming today. Industrial, this is the agenda, basically. So what are we going to share today here? Let me sing to my slide here. IR 4.0, just a quick one. Just very quick one. And is it an opportunity or is it a trend? If opportunities, how it actually comes to us, and how it relates to Sarawak. So this is the things that I have I've gone through past years that I'll be able to share here. And next is applications, what we have done. Mr. Poo, you just say only, or CL, you just say it, but what you have done. So we would like to share here what we have done. And frankly, we are very, very pleased and happy here because I just received an email from a Shenyang universities from China, invited us. There's one air ticket and hotels being paid off, asked us to go and share what we actually have done. So that's the beautiful stuff that we'd like to share today. What if one day it's you as a Sarawakian? So Industrial 4.0. Previous industrial revolution already changed throughout mankind from animal power, from mass production possible. And for today, digital will change billions of people for the fourth industrial revolution. However, fundamentally, it is very, very different today. It is categorized by a range of new technology that are fusing the physical. Remember, there's few words that I would like to mention. Physical, digital, biological world. Impacting of discipline, economics, and industry. Even for changing the ideas about how we would like to live. Please take note here, in IR 4.0, is we to determine how we would like to live. So it's a hit refresh. Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, have actually a book. If you have time, read that. Everything will start from zero. And we are very, very lucky here. When we actually talk about this here today, we are in the beginning of IR 4.0. We are not in the middle. We are not at the end. We can make miracles. So one thing that we during IR 4.0, a lot of people actually mentioned about, artificial. Is it natural or artificial? So this is the things that we need to know. How about if, let's say, natural together with artificial? Renaissance. Why we actually mention about this? We need a new economic model in IR 4.0. We are not talking about capitalism. We're talking about economy here. We are not talking about capitalism. We are not talking about communism. It's about a shift in the system, focusing on health and education, role of government, work with businesses. We're focusing on free market, free to meet basic needs of every human in the planet. Fairer, not in growth per se, but maximizing human well-being. So IR 4.0, I change a little bit, I make it magnified, it's a renaissance. History tells us it's creating the story, how we would like to live, as we mentioned just now, with today and future. Important part, with technology. So what we're actually trying to say here is, whatever industry that you are here today, you are actually embarking here today, think about technology. If put in technology, how your industry can change. Have you seen this? It's one of my favorite movies when I'm secondary school days. I hope that you're actually same. Just now I'm asking you are Gen X, Y, or even $1 Million Man. So what is this guy? He's a human being. Add in with technology. In this case, there's certain special power that you can actually run, 100 km, no need to rest or whatsoever, yada, yada, yada. So basically this is IR 4.0. How about this? Can someone guess what is this? This is 3D printing. 3D printing is not just for fun. A lot of people say that, it's just another printer. What actually it will do is creating another new model, solving the resources constraint that we have today. Do you know that today in healthcare, we'll be able to use 3D printing to print out our artery. We'll be able to print out our bones. So to creating all this new stuff, can we start from Sarawak? The answer is why not? What else? In the morning, I heard a lot of story about agriculture. I'm very, very happy that in Sarawak, we actually seen IoTs landed in Sarawak. Can we actually go further? Seeing about these two, satellite. What else? Drones. Can we use drones with oil palm or palm oil? It's possible. Create something here. It's still very, very early stage. Not many people focus into this. Who can start with oil palm or palm oil? Malaysian. Who has the most land and most oil palm or palm oil here? Sarawak. Okay, that's what we'd like to share here. What else? This is Sophia. Our Tun M, our Prime Minister, talked to robots in July this year. I mean, is it robotic? It's just you can talk to them and they reply to you. No, they can do more stuff. Later part, the application that we would like to share with you, where I'm very lucky in a way. I'm a Tampin boy, a Negeri Sembilan boy. What happened is I'm also a Rotarian. Rotary Club of Tampin come to me, says that, Mr. Poo, can you help out something? I will share with you what we're actually doing with robotics as well as technology today in the application day. So just would like to think about this, robotics. What else? Drones, IoTs. So now, is it an opportunity or is it actually a threat? For your information, I actually glance through internet every day. Nowadays, before we sleep, we read Facebook or Google News or whatsoever. So what happened is the World Economic Forum just mentioned by 2022, because of IR 4.0, 75 million jobs is going to lose. We're going to lose 75 million jobs by 2022, like what our lady here actually mentioned. Sounds scary, isn't it? Yeah. There's one more sentence that I would like to add on. Yes, we are going to lose 75 million jobs. Additional 133 million jobs going to be created. Have a positive mindset. Things is going to change. What actually Sarawak government is actually doing, TVETs or whatever, beautiful. Attend that. When you actually attend an event like this, like KSI, you actually understand about that. Plan for the next 3 years. Plan for the next 5 years. Involve into this. Remember I mentioned about the history just now when the steam engine story. Don't repeat that. Change your mind, you'll be there. Right? And you might be the next Ford. Why not? And the next Ford, it may be in the 10 years to come from Sarawak. Okay, before I have another 2 more slides, that's about it. Just would like to actually share here. If you are the owners here today, if you are governments here today, put a lot of time into youth, millennium. I did a talk, I think 2-3 months ago. I asked a question. Today I re-asked again. Do you know what is average Malaysian age? A lot of people say that Mr. Poo is 40, 50. The average Malaysian age is, yes, I heard somewhere, it's 30. Imagine this. We need to focus our youth. We need to empower them. We need to enable them, especially in IR 4.0. And they are going to be the richest nation. And last month I attended another seminar, which I would like to share this statement as well. Do you know that next year, there will be 3 generations of workers working together? We're talking about baby boomers, X, Y, and Z. X and Y. So 3 generations of people is going to work together as a team. We need to start the first step, first move, in order for us to be in the future. There you go. So this is where I actually shoot this photo when I'm in KLIA, when they actually start using the automated gate. A lot of people say that no, I'm still going to queue so the customer can give me a stamp. This is about 5-6 years ago. Today, nobody go for the queue. Everybody go for the machines. So IR 4.0 is that. It's a relationship between human and human, human and machine and machine. Okay, so what we actually have done, quickly glance through, right? What we actually have done is very simple. We make use of IoT to measure about air, measure about water, so that we know there's actually a clean air. We know that the place that we are here with clean air and clean water as well. And not only that, what I mentioned just now, the Rotary Club of Tampin come to me says that we would like to have a place where whoever live in this town, okay, we know where to go. We know where there's a new shop. When there's actually a new job, we know we can actually use this platform to go in. So we are actually currently doing this for them. Why not you actually think about this in Kuching? Point of interest, jobs, promotions, yada, yada, yada. So this is what from our 2M. I like this photo very much. I grabbed it from one of the newspaper. What is skyscrapers? What is big projects if our air and water is polluted? Okay, that's my last slide. I purposely put it there 5 icons. That's meaning. There's clock. There's calculator. There's phone. There's calendar. What does this mean? This exists 40, 50 years ago. But this icon appears in your iPhone. This icon appears in your Android phone. What we're actually trying to say here is things will remain the same. It's how we change ourselves. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ching Loong. Very nice. But in the interest of time, I've been reminded by the organizers that we really got to wrap this up. So as much as I was looking forward to a panel discussion, I think, it'll be another day, another time, another place, but hopefully somewhere in Sarawak. Okay, gentlemen and lady. With that, so much is at stake for Sarawak. This is an opportune time for Sarawak to take control of our future. How much our leaders, our government, state and national, is going to invest, how much we in the private sector, in the academia, are going to research and going to invest. All that, is the responsibility of every Sarawakian. And I welcome also those who are Sarawak's friends, like our two gentlemen here. There are many of you out here who have got great ideas, and I'm sure you will see the potential that Sarawak has, as shared by previous speakers in the other sessions. Sarawak is very unique. Of course, you will say every country is unique, but Sarawak, with its unique demographics, geographical and resource-rich endowments, what is one takeaway advice you would give to our government, our decision makers, now that you've got the chance to say something? Lena, would you go first?
I'm sorry, actually, we don't have time for...
Girish, just one minute each, huh? Thank you.
So I'll give you 5, quickly. Get the infrastructure out, divert the spending from state, if you can, into infrastructure. Make sure every household out there has 100% high-speed broadband on time. Number 2, focus on agriculture. Go into technologies that look at downstream agriculture. Go into biochemicals using biomass from the palm and reforestation. That means planting more trees and using that to go into biochemicals that goes into plastics. 3, work with large companies. You cannot do this as an SME. Work with large companies, work with entrepreneurs. So companies like Press Metal, work with entrepreneurs, fund them. Let them go out there and solve your problems. And number 4 is interesting. Set up a Shark Tank. Have you guys heard of Shark Tank?
Yes.
Yeah? Get that in Sarawak. You need a Sarawak Shark Tank. People, young guys, coming with ideas.
Coming soon.
And move forward. And have you guys heard of GAIN? MDEC has a program called GAIN. Go and Google it. They can help you. They have a lot of resources which I think they're not maybe spending enough time here.
Yes.
Oh, okay. For government, yes, work with youth, work with the SMEs. At the same time, like what actually Girish mentioned, infrastructure is very, very important. If infrastructure is not there, things will move. Okay, for people, for Sarawakian, dare to dream and just do it.
Lena?
Okay, I just want to say, actually, yes, the Sarawak government already has a lot of roadmaps in place. So you talk about infrastructure, for example, they're already aiming for 100% coverage, even in the rural areas. MDEC, they have their programs here as well. We have our innovation centers. It's more about how do we gain traction from there. Yes, we are starting, but where do we go from there? It's about people development as well. So I think that's what we need to look at.
Well, thank you all very much, Lena and the gentlemen. With that, my parting words, do check out MTDC website for funding and grant application and funding opportunities, financing opportunities. And besides that, we welcome ideas. I'm sure Sarawak as a state welcome good ideas. And as much as we want to work within Sarawak, we know that there is a limit. We do not have all the talent and resources that can help us become potentially, an amazing state, a model state, and a model country. All right. So thank you for all your attention. Thank you for your participation.